Let me show you my tiny kitchen. In the area right outside, I have my little coffee station, and I keep a couple extra things in, like my coffee grinder, my salad spinner, my crock pot, an extra bin for onions, and more coffee stuff. And right here on this side, I have a big gallon-sized jar that I save for fermenting. My nice Dutch oven, my blender pieces. And then as we go in the kitchen, you see right away, it's not very big. I can go, I can easily touch counter to counter and not stretch myself from this side to this side. So I have to make the most of space. So what I did above my stove, I put a tension rod and I hung a bunch of utensils different ways off of it. Also have these giant binder clips that I collected from my workplace. I just discard them after they get a bin full. And I hung up with some S-hooks, some more utensils, things like that, things that I use. And I did thin out most of my utensils. I don't have what I don't use now. And then I have a little Ryar bin here that I keep my oils and vinegars and sea salt, the things that I use all the time for cooking, and a little thing of tomatoes. Don't mind my green bag, I need to turn it inside out and flip it. In my counter, I have very little space on the counter, so I use it only for things that I use. My bagel slices, which I use for Ezekiel bread English muffins, and my sea salt and black pepper. And then around my stove, I have some of these hooks. They're magnetic. They're strong. They're strong. I can't even get it off right now with one hand. They hold like 25 pounds. So on it, I've hung the pot holders that I use on my stove, and a couple other primarily metal utensils, so they don't get overheated at the oven's on. And my little tonguey thing. And I do have a spinner for other utensils. Brr. And those same little hooks, I have a supply of them. I used all that I have up. So I have like screens for when I'm frying stuff, other utensils that I use, my little egg, saute pan that I cook, of course, mostly eggs in it, and a little rack, and more pot holders. For my kitchen towel, I just take a kitchen towel, put it through two ends through my door handle on my fridge, and then I put a binder clip over those two ends and fold it down so it doesn't stick out, and it holds my kitchen towel just fine. And I also keep another dish rag for drying my hands handy on the counter. And everything has a place. Its own place. Everything has a place. I have to in this kitchen because it is so tiny. So this is how I make it work. These are lids in my immersion blender. These are my food chopper things and fermenting things. These cabinets I use for the cookie sheets, pizza pans, big containers, but it's so awkward to get into. These are not designed well. My roaster pan, my popcorn bowl, big things. This is another one of those. I mainly keep leftover paper bags, my vinegar. I usually have apple cider besides regular vinegar in there. I buy the gallon. This one's more food chopper, fermenting stuff, and other kitchen things that I use all the time. The things to hold your sleeves up when you're cooking, and this I use all the time for opening jars, things I can't get open. There's a gripper thing. And of course, silverware, sponges, water filter things. And this is where I keep all my lids for my containers. I store things in the freezer. More lids for canning and fermenting. Extra pans for when I go places to take food. Up here, my tea kettle. A couple extra pans for when I take food somewhere. More storage for Pyrex. My Pyrex. This is my Pyrex cupboard. I have cake pans, pie pans, casserole dish, and I have about, they're all in the dishwasher, in the drain board, 6 total, I think, of these bowls. And this rack holds the 2 other Pyrex containers and their lids, which are right now in the fridge being used. More little Pyrex containers and spots for 2 others that are in the drain board. My soup bowls, measuring cups, more Pyrex. And up here I have ice cube trays and super cube trays, and I'm not using them in the freezer. And this little skinny shelf, mainly it's spices and cooking oils and vinegars, and my little thermal cup hiding out there. I think that's it. Oh, here, all my storage containers that I've used after the fridge. You see this is getting full. That's because I've been eating out of my freezer a lot. So I'm be running out of room, so that means I need to start cooking, crock potting stuff and making things to eat later. Fill up the freezer. This one is, I think I have a couple cake pans in there, my rice cooker. I have my scale for fermenting and this little baby waffle maker in there. This is all my cooking and baking stuff. Things like nutritional yeast, gelatin, sea salt, backup stuff, chia seeds. Jars, you can tell it's full because I've been using up the things in my jars, so I'm ready to have those used up again. A couple loaf pans, don't really use. And this is the last corner. It has a tin wire basket full of spices. Of course, Tabasco, that's I use all the time. A microwave, and every space, baking things in here and here. Everything has a place for it because there's no room for just to throw something. So that's it. And my cast iron skillet, which I am heating up after I washed, it gets stored in the oven down here, so it doesn't hang out anywhere. So I just wanted to give you a tour of this little micro kitchen. And I know, a lot of you who live like in some of the bigger cities in Europe, and like New York City especially, maybe Chicago too, they're used to tiny kitchens too. Because I lived in Western New York for 30 years, so I'm used to the tiny kitchens and those kind of setups, especially in New York City. Buffalo was great. I didn't really have a problem with tiny kitchens there. But just so things you can do to make your tiny space a little bit more efficient for you.